Right.
And so, a big part of that, by the way, is the asymmetry in the media ecosystem. The left, the Democratic Party, for so long has relied on legacy media as our message distribution system, and they're not. In fact, legacy media, mainstream media, bends over backwards to prove that it's not liberal media. How many times did the New York Times run front page cover stories on Hillary's emails?
In this video, Brian Tyler Cohen sits down with Chris Cuomo to discuss what's going wrong these days with the Democrat Party. Brian Tyler Cohen tells Chris Cuomo that he blames the huge right-wing media machine. Should I pause right now for you to stop laughing? Anyway, with that, let's watch Puss Boy Brian Tyler Cohen whine, cry, and do everything he can to defend his beloved Democrat Party.
Democrats themselves on these ballots. I think what Democrats have to get better at is not just embracing the 60 side of these 60-40 issues, but also figuring out how to message them in a way that people actually know that the issues that you support are also going to be enacted by the party that you don't support.
Right.
And so, a big part of that, by the way, is the asymmetry in the media ecosystem. The left, the Democratic Party, for so long has relied on legacy media as our message distribution system, and they're not. In fact, legacy media, mainstream media, bends over backwards to prove that it's not liberal media. How many times did the New York Times run front page cover stories on Hillary's emails? They are not on our team. The same way that Fox is on the Republican Party's team, that OAN and Newsmax are on their team, that InfoWars and Megyn Kelly show and Daily Wire, they are on the Republican Party's team.
Digital media is overweighted to the right. I would argue legacy media went after Trump in a way that, did as much favor for Biden as anything did. But I appreciate your point. I think you're right on the digital side specifically. And that's why one of the reasons I love you, by the way, and my father would have loved you. I don't know where Andrew is on you, but my father, I can't tell you how many Democrats in your generation talk to me about your party. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I don't know what it is to be like, which I find so offensive that I don't even address it because I don't know how to address it without being physical. So, but my father,
are you suggesting that the Cuomos don't have any legacy with?
We don't have any. We don't have any DAP anymore. It turns out as Democrats, which is kind of weird. But except at the convention where they kept showing clips of my father.
I've heard Brian Tyler Cohen spouting this nonsense before, and I don't watch him that much, so this must be his new talking points or narrative. He believes that, forget digital media or legacy media, that overall media favors the right wing. How can anybody say that with a straight face? And the example he gave of legacy media bending over backwards not to support the left wing is that the New York Times covered Hillary's emails. Is he so brainwashed or delusional or whatever, indoctrinated in the left, that he genuinely believes that Hillary's emails weren't a very, very big story that should be covered by any legitimate news outlet? That's his example. What is he talking about? And I can't believe Chris Cuomo didn't push back on him more about, he said, well, I think the left painted Trump in a bad light prior to the election, or the legacy media painted Trump in a bad light leading up to the election. But then he moved up. He's like, but I get your point. I'm sorry, you get his point? Like, how do you get his point if you don't agree with him that the legacy media is completely in bed with the left wing? There's zero objective journalism on that side. Which candidate in the last election had more billionaires funding their campaign? So is it just a money machine on the right where independent creators and digital media support the right more? Or is that the right wing has pretty good ideas? When people start listening to these channels or watching these channels, they resonate with them. And the channels that are getting the most views on YouTube, for example, are the ones that get clicked on the most or that people return to the most. So to me, one way you could look at it, and I don't know all the ins and outs, but one way you could look at it is, like I said, the ideas resonate with people and they want to come back and learn more and hear more from these people. They view overall people on the right as credible. I mean, can you blame them? Anybody who pays any attention understands that the left wing will do or say anything to spin a story in their favor, and they're just flat out liars. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I'm getting a little heated here, but that is the worst analysis I've ever heard, and that's the best he's got. And like I said, he's been spewing this for a while now, so clearly he thinks this is going to resonate with people. How is this guy as popular as he is? Good Lord. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
The who and the how of the messaging, I want to talk about a little bit. The Maddow effect. I always called Rachel the professor when I went against her at CNN. So smart, such a high level of erudition and research. She could talk about whatever she wanted at night that was totally not on the news, and it would still work with that audience because they just wanted her take on things that were appreciated by existing Democratic beliefs. And that's also why she was losing audience to me and to Fox, was because the mistake of the smart Democrat, and there is a high degree of intelligence on the Democratic side. Now, a lot of it has been co-opted by, in my opinion, culture wars. But
Yeah.
the condescension, the arrogance, the you're an idiot, so let me see if I can bring you along to where I am because I'm much smarter than you, was a huge problem for Democrats that Trump wound up benefiting from because of how bad his language is and how rough around the edges he is and unsophisticated. And it made people feel better about being against this level of sophistication. You, conversely, get that. And you are not Rachel Maddow. You are smart. You are well researched with what you do, but you do not make me feel bad about it. You do.
Boy, Chris Cuomo is really flattering Brian Tyler Cohen. I didn't know he was such a big fan. Good Lord. But as much as I hate to say it, I mean, everything Chris Cuomo's criticized about the Democrat Party has been right. The who and how of the messaging. Rachel Maddow, Joy Reid, everyone at The View, Morning Joe, and pretty much everyone else on CNN and MSNBC. They don't just condescend, and they're not just arrogant. They think that they are better than the average American, and that you're stupid if you don't believe what they believe. So they really think that if they say things enough and tell people how to think, that Americans will say, well, that's not what I'm seeing, but, you know, the news I watch says it, so all right, yeah, I guess it's true. And I think that used to work, but they're going to have to, if they want to stay relevant, recalibrate and come up with a new strategy. Rachel Maddow also lost audience, just like everyone else I named in legacy media, not just for being arrogant and condescending, but because she's so entrenched in a Democrat narrative. Chris Cuomo is probably right. She probably is very, very smart, probably smarter than me. But I don't care how smart you are. If you have the inability to see things from other people's perspective or see both sides of an issue, and you're always completely on board with the party line and the party's talking points, can people really trust you? I'd say the same thing for Fox News. I don't watch Fox News anymore because I know they have an agenda just like CNN and MSNBC. So I can't believe Chris Cuomo is giving Brian Tyler Cohen so much props when he's basically telling him all the reasons the Democrats are wrong and disproving his right-wing media machine narrative. Oh, and by the way, Chris and Brian, people don't move over to Donald Trump just because he's rough around the edges and unsophisticated. What you call rough around the edges and unsophisticated to us is authentic, which is something that is foreign to 99% of the Democrat Party, including the entirety of liberal mainstream media. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Do not talk down to me. And I think that that is a fundamental thing that you guys have to learn. And I think Kamala read really condescending to people. And Americans may not be the most studied, but they're really sensitive to being stupid.
Yeah.
And that's a tough spot. Do you recognize that within your own persuasion?
Yes, I mean it's clearly like an issue, a very visible issue within the Democratic Party, like on the left, is that there is a degree of even for me as a content creator, if I step one step left to center and say something incorrect or even misquote something or whatever it is, I mean I'll get completely beat up. Democrats love to lecture other Democrats. Democrats love to scold, and I think that's something that we have to get over as a party because to your point, I mean you catch more flies with honey, right? And I think that we have to recognize just basic sociology, just basic how to reach out to people, how to make people feel like they want to be part of your coalition. And look, I'm guilty of it too, because I think that most of the stuff that falls out of Donald Trump's face
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
makes him sound really fucking stupid.
Mhm.
And it's hard not to just say this guy's really fucking stupid. And that the people who support him, therefore, are stupid. But I think that that's something that we have to figure out how not to do. And in fact, the thing that I've been focused on over the last couple of years is not to blame people who believe Fox News when they lie on Trump's behalf, for example. It's to appeal to them in such a way that says, like, look, these people are lying to you. Have more respect for yourself than to trust people like this who are going to lie right to your face. I mean, I often say in my videos that it feels like the Republicans' biggest enemies are the Democrats, but in fact, the people that Republicans have the most contempt for are their own supporters, that they're willing to lie to them for years and years and years about certain issues that have no basis in reality. I mean, this idea that the 2020 election was stolen, first of all, there was no basis.
You think Donald Trump is so effing stupid? Well, he's so effing stupid that he cleaned your clock in the last election. The one true statement or statements or area that Brian Tyler Cohen was accurate about in this interview is when he said Democrats love to lecture and scold other Democrats. You're absolutely right. But you didn't go all the way. It's not just other Democrats. They love to lecture and scold. Again, that lines up perfectly with what I've been saying, that they think they know it all. And finally, he suggests that the Republican Party has no respect for its voters because they lie to us all the time. Okay, the Republican Party is led by politicians, so I can't dismiss that statement completely. However, the Democrats will take the gold in the lying Olympics any day of the week, anytime and they look down on their voters as less than, just like they do any average American, anyone that's not in their ivory tower bubble. But we want to hear from you. What did you think about this exchange between Chris Cuomo and Brian Tyler Cohen? Let us know. Anyway, as always, we really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.